also. And Ananya, Ananya, I also like to introduce to all of you. Ananya is a advocate by profession who is largely into litigation, appearing before ITED regularly. She is I think, a lecturer at the law college. Law college. She is a regularly lecturer speaking on the subject of international taxation, and she happens to be daughter of Mr. Salil Kapoor, Ananya.
Yes,
Who
sir.
is,
Yes.
yeah, Mr. Salil Kapoor, who is right now, he's an ex-ITEC member, right, Ananya?
Yes, sir.
So you are a daughter of a very learned person, and we heard you last time. The
Thank you.
first lecture was awesome lecture, and that was
Thank
a very good start of our discussion. Okay.
thank you.
So yeah, so whoever are present, let's start our discussion, and we are going to discuss. Any of you have any question, mute yourself and ask the question. Okay, we want more and more deliberation. Okay, Rajendra and Amaya.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We are starting with the presentation.
Yeah.
Yes. So in the first lecture, Ananya has already given you the background of the Benami Transaction Prohibition Amendment Act 2016. So I'll be touching just giving you a just glimpse of that act, which came into force on 1st of November 2016 and which is made up of 72 sections. The main purpose of the act is to prohibit the Benami properties and the Benami transactions which are carried out, and to reduce generation and utilization of unaccounted black money. Actually, this act contains various provisions for which the authorities have been established to curb Benami transaction and to confiscate Benami properties. The scope of this act has thus been widened, and the act states that any person entering into a Benami transaction shall be liable for prosecution, punishment, and penalties. All three have been made more stringent. So, as a consequence of this act, it is recommended that all the real estate transactions should now be conducted in the name of the actual owner, who is paying consideration for his known sources, as this practice will bring in increased transparency, title risks would be minimized, and buyers' confidence in property transaction will get a boost. Now I'll be touching to some of the definitions under this act, and 231 being the first one, that is the words and expression used here with not defined in the act, because here what the act includes, which all of the legislation the act includes and excludes is given here. That is the reason I'm taking this first. Section 2 subsection 31 speaks of words and expression used herewith and not defined in the act but defined in the Indian Trust Act 1882, the Indian Succession Act 1925, the Indian Partnership Act 1932, the Income Tax Act 1961, the Depositories Act 1996, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002, the Limited Liability Partnership Act 2008, and the Companies Act 2013 shall have the meaning respectfully assigned to them in those acts. It is further to be noted that this 231 definition excludes the Transfer of Property Act 1882, the General Clauses Act 1897, which we use for our ready reference, the Black Money Act, Money Undisclosed Foreign Income and Assets, and Imposition of Tax Act 2015, and the Fugitive Economic Offenders Act 2018. So these are the few acts which I just recently mentioned, which excludes from the definition of 231. Now I come to the main definition.
Amaya.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, stop here. So let's discuss this part first. So this section 2 subsection 31 speaks about words and expression used herein and not defined in this act. So there could be certain definitions, certain words which are not defined in this act, right? But they might have been defined in Indian Trust Act or Indian Succession Act or Indian Partnership Act, Income Tax Act or Depository Act. So the definitions of those particular words which are not exclusively defined in this Benami law, their definition should be taken from these various acts, right? That
Yes,
is
sir.
a, yeah.
Yes.
Now the question is that there is a possibility that one word is defined in Income Tax Act also, in Limited Liability Partnership Act also. Now which word to be taken, like which word, like how to, which word to be, which definitions to be chosen. So that is an issue over here. Okay. And if I tell you the word immovable property is not defined in the Benami law, immovable property, okay? But the immovable property is defined under Income Tax Act, but under a specific chapter, not in section 2. There is a chapter, separate chapter, related to acquisitions of immovable property by Income Tax Department in case of certain, transactions. So the definition is not there in the the basic definition, but it is for the specific chapter it is attracted. So again a question arises whether such definitions can be relied upon, right? So these are all the questions for discussion, and if the participants would like to give their view, uh, anybody would like to give their view, can unmute themselves and discuss this. Anybody? So this is very pertinent question. I have unmuted everybody.
Hi, this is Kushal here.
Kushal, yeah, Kushal.
So I think we would look at the context in which a particular transaction is to see at which act we need to see. For instance, if it's connected to a LLP a transaction where a LLP is involved, maybe we can go to that particular act. And regards Benami property, I think the property is well defined over here. So I don't think we should limit our focus only on immovable property. I think property per se, it says all movable or immovable, tangible or intangible. So I think it's a very, very wide definition of property, which I think at the first look, which I can see.
Yeah. So Kushal, as you said, which you made a very right point, like suppose there is a property called shares and securities, right? Then the definitions of shares and security, one may refer to this depository act, right? Possibly. That is a very, as you said, context of the situation. And if it is related to something related to maybe income tax or so, something, I don't know. So we can go to the, connected law. That I think one inference we are drawing.
Yeah.
It would depend also on the adjudicating authority or the regulator who is issuing the notices, sir.
Okay.
It will also depend upon that.
No, that is fine. But you mean to say the inquiry officer? You mean to say inquiry officer?
Yes, everything I'm saying, sir.
The inquiry officer will say whatever he wants to say, but legally, what is the legal precedent like here? So as Kushal mentioned that the relevant, most connected law we should refer to. Okay. That is what I can feel. And I don't know about the immovable properties defined in a specific chapter because it has a limited intention, So in my view, that may not be referred to as a reliable definitions of the property. Okay, that is my view. Ananya, you would like to contribute something?
Yeah, no, sir, I completely agree. I think Kushal has pointed it really well because in case there's a conflict, then we should look at the specific legislation. Let's say I'm trying to understand the definition of the word will. Then, of course, Indian Succession Act is a specific legislation to do with wills. So we should look at the definition under the Indian Succession Act. If I'm trying to understand the definition of the word partner or partnership deed, then I should look at the Partnership Act because that's a specific legislation which has been brought about for the purposes of dealing with partnerships. Right. So, of course, if there's bound to be conflict, I think Kushal has very rightly mentioned that we should look at the apt specific legislation because the entire purpose of that legislation is to cater to those kind of situations only.
Perfect. Very good.
Yes.
Yeah. Amaya.
Yes.
Yeah, proceed.
Yeah, so I'll be taking to the definition part of this act, that is section 2, one of the most important sections of this act. It states that substitution of new section for section 2 definitions. For section 2 of the principal act, the following section shall be substituted, namely, and it starts. So I will be covering section 2 subsection 8, which defines Benami property, and section 2 subsection 26, which defines property. First one being section 2 subsection 8, Benami property, means any property which is the subject matter of a Benami transaction and also includes the proceeds from such property. Now I come to subsection 26, which defines property, means any asset of any kind, whether movable or immovable, tangible or intangible, corporeal or incorporeal, and includes any right or interest or legal documents or instruments evidencing title to or interest in the property, and where the property is capable of conversion into some other form than the property in the converted form, and also includes the proceeds from the property. So I would make a differentiation between the old act and the new act. In the old act, the definition of property covered assets of any kind which were movable and or immovable, tangible or intangible. As inserted by the Amendment Act 2016, which covers 6 more points, that is corporeal or incorporeal, second one being property in the converted form, third one being proceeds from the property, fourth one being any right or interest in the property, fifth one being legal documents or instruments evidencing title or interest in the property, sixth one being where it is capable of conversion into some other form than in converted form. So these are the six points which are included in the new definition of the Benami property. Now I come to the other aspect of the Benami property. That is the first major difference between the terms of property between the old act and the new act is that the former allowed acquisition of property and the later allowed confiscation of property. Now I come to another point that if Benami property has changed its color or form, even then it will continue to be called as a Benami property. Further, if the Benami property has been sold or disposed of, its proceeds received will continue to be Benami. Now, I will touch upon the aspects of the application to properties located outside India, whether converted under Benami, whether covered under Benami law or under black money law. As you see, the definition of property in the Act is extremely wide, and there is nothing in the Act that excludes the applicability of Benami Act to Benami properties located outside India. However, in the reply to a debate on the amendment bill in Rajya Sabha on 2nd of August 2016, I'll quote the finance minister went on saying that what happens if the asset is outside the country? If an asset is outside the country, it would now not be covered under this act. It would be covered under the black money law because you are owning a property or an asset outside the country. This I quoted from the speech of the finance minister. The reference appears to be that the black money undisclosed foreign income and assets and imposition of tax act 2015, which aims to curb black money and undisclosed foreign assets and income by imposing tax and penalties on such income. Hence, that will be applicable. A judicial decision on this point clearly in the airs is much awaited, which
Amaya.
will have more clarity on this.
Yeah, Amaya.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I have certain question about that also.
Yes, sir.
So as you said, or you refer to that property outside India, okay?
Yes, sir.
Foreign property. So nowadays, under liberalized remittance scheme,
Yes, sir.
one can remit money outside India up to
Yes.
$250,000 US,
Yes, sir. Yes,
and can acquire property, right?
yes, sir. Yes,
So suppose I'm sending money outside India,
yes, sir.
and I'm buying a property in name of my son, or maybe in the name of some other person, suppose. So it is, in a way, it is a Benami transaction. Because
Yes,
I'm
indirectly you can call
right.
it. Yes.
So, but it is a legal, like, legal, in the legal manner, I'm sending money outside India, I'm buying a property, and definitely I am not owning it. Legal owner, I'm keeping some other person is a legal owner, right?
Kirit, I think we'll once we get into Benami transaction definition, I think that will cover the example that you have given.
Okay.
Because even though the property is held outside India, out of the LRS scheme, remittances, I think that would fall under this particular way, not fall under Benami.
Not fall.
Okay, all right.
I think we'll see that mistake.
Now, yeah.
So can I just add something on the black money vis-a-vis Benami law problem?
Yeah, sure.
So when the finance minister highlighted that if it's an overseas property, will it come under Benami law or the black money law? So for this, why I also agree that it will come under the black money law. There are two reasons. Firstly is that the black money law is a very specific legislation which has been created for the sole purposes of taxing foreign undisclosed properties which are basically connected with black money. So be it Benami or be it black money in any form. Now the reason why we had the black money law in 2015 was because even the Income Tax Act in the first place was falling short of us being able to tax and rightfully bring to tax these undisclosed foreign assets. A basic problem that we always face is the fact that you can't give extra territorial jurisdiction to a domestic legislation because it's your own law. So your own law can be made by a sovereign for their own country, but how do you start giving it effect in terms of having an extra territorial jurisdiction? This is a basic principle, which is why the Income Tax Act also could not be effectively be used to capture these Swiss bank accounts, other bank accounts, etc. Which is why we had a black money undisclosed foreign income or foreign asset act. So keeping that in mind, that it's a very specific legislation because it was brought about for the specific purposes of capturing overseas transactions which go outside the purview of taxation. So I think keeping that in mind, that might have a bigger role to play when it's a Benami property, but it's still in the nature of a black money property because it's an overseas property.
Yeah.
Hello, Ananya, Chetan here.
Yes,
Sir, I mean, the proceeds of Benami property is remitted outside India by way of LRS. Then I think Benami Transaction Act will come into picture and not black money.
So sorry, I didn't hear you.
The proceeds of Benami property transferred outside India through LRS. Then what will be the situation?
No, but if you look at the provision under the Benami law, then there's no specific provision which is giving it an extra territorial jurisdiction. It's a domestic law, so हम उसको overseas apply भी कैसे करेंगे?
Agreed. So every law will be, I mean, it
Yes.
will have, I mean, domestic use only. I mean, we cannot.
Yes.
Oh, Ananya.
No, but my question is which law will be applicable? Whether a Benami Transaction Prohibition Amendment Act will be Benami applicable or black money, or both will operate simultaneously?
Both can operate simultaneously, but I think Benami law in isolation will not have to work because black money, undisclosed foreign assets is a specific legislation that will have to work simultaneously. The provision which allows us to identify something overseas, but it is related with a resident in India, that concept is what is coming from black money. So maybe either we read both simultaneously, but we'll have to give some reference to the black money law.
Right.
Ananya, my question is that transaction is disclosed. I am remitting money, but
Yes.
I am buying the property in name of Mr. X. But I am disclosing that in my balance sheet. I am disclosing, or something like that. Then it is not. Then that.
So, but then are you saying, sir, if you are disclosing it and the source is known, फिर तो वो Benami transaction की definition में ही नहीं आएगा 2(9) में?
नहीं तो Benami transaction is definition ऐसा कुछ है ना कि आप पेमेंट करते हो और प्रॉपर्टी किसी और के नाम पे होती है.
नहीं sir, when we come to 2(9), उसमें also it says that, I mean, at the end of the day, if the person is not known, the person is fictitious, or you can't trace it. I mean, अगर source is known. And so, I mean, it depends. In a very particular example, it is possible कि वो 2(9) में आ जाए.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll examine that.
Yes.
Okay. So, ये property के ऊपर I have certain questions. Shall I take it right now, Amaya, or you like conversion, all these things? What is the meaning of conversion?
Sir, you can take that is in the later part, sir.
Okay.
Yes. You can take the question, sir.
Yeah.
No
So here the property means assets of any kind.
Yes.
Here the property means assets of any kind, right? So definition is means. So it seems to be exhaustive definition. Property means assets of any kind.
Yes.
Whether movable, immovable, then there are all the list of various assets. Movable, immovable, tangible or intangible, corporeal, incorporeal, okay? And includes any right, interest or legal document or instrument, right? Evidencing. And where the property is capable of conversion into some other form, then the property in the converted form. So what do you mean by property is capable of conversion into other form? So my question is, does it mean that something, suppose there is a raw cotton, the raw cotton is converted into clothes, right? Does it mean that type of conversion? Or I have a house which is Benami, I am selling it and I am buying a land or some other property. Is that a conversion? So what sort of conversions the legislature intend to cover here? So that is important, because otherwise, if you take that conversion in the sense that I sell something and I buy something, then I sell something and buy something, then it may go up to what level? So participants or the professional over here can deliberate if anybody has any idea what does this mean actually?
No, it will cover. No, it may or may not fall under conversion, but it will fall under proceeds of crime, proceeds from the property. But you are investing that proceeds into another property.
किरीट भाई,
हाँ हाँ
किरीट भाई मैं खुशीराम जादवानी बोल रहा हूँ।
हाँ हाँ खुशीराम।
अच्छा किरीट भाई, इसमें जितना मेरी समझ है कन्वर्जन का, उसमें ऐसा निकल के आता है कि सपोज आपने कोई इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी पहले
एक मिनट मैं सबको म्यूट कर रहा हूँ, फिर आपको सिर्फ अनम्यूट करता हूँ। खुशीराम एक मिनट। हाँ खुशीराम, हाँ बोलो ना। हाँ खुशीराम।
तो मेरा जितना अंडरस्टैंडिंग है ना इस डेफिनेशन का, उसमें कन्वर्जन को ये लोग ऐसे लीड कर रहे हैं कि सपोज पहले आपने कोई इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी खरीदी हो जो बेनामी की डेफिनेशन में आती है, और बाद में उसको आपने बेच के उसको अपने पैसे में कन्वर्ट किया और उसको एफडी में किया है। वो जो एफडी है, सिंस इसका जो प्राइमरी लिंक है जो प्रॉपर्टी है विच वाज बेनामी, उसको कन्वर्जन की थ्योरी में ये लोग ले रहे हैं। सिमिलरली जैसे आपके पास शेयर्स हैं अगर आज की डेट में किसी कंपनी के जो बेनामी हैं, वो शेयर्स किसी तरीके से कन्वर्ट हुए हैं किसी और फॉर्म में, या सपोज डेट में कन्वर्ट हुआ है, या कोई डिवेंचर है जो बेनामी था जो इक्विटी में कन्वर्ट हुआ है। इस तरीके का जो कन्वर्जन है, जिसको ये लोग ये कहना चाहते हैं कि सपोज सिंस द ओरिजिनल फॉर्म ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी वाज बेनामी, देयरफॉर कन्वर्टेड फॉर्म विल आल्सो बी डीम्ड टू बी बेनामी प्रॉपर्टी अंडर दिस एक्ट।
सॉरी खुशीराम मैंने आपको ये म्यूट अनम्यूट करते रहता क्योंकि पीछे से आवाज आता है कहीं से, शायद किसी न किसी के घर से आता होगा। अपने आप को अनम्यूट कीजिए ना खुशीराम।
हाँ किया है मैंने। तो मेरा जितना अंडरस्टैंडिंग है उसमें यही है कि कल को कोई आदमी ये ना लिटिगेट करे आगे जाके कि भाई ये तो मेरा डिस्क्लोज्ड है, कि जैसे आपने मोबाइल प्रॉपर्टी खरीदी थी, उसको बेनामी रखा, लेकिन बाद में उसके शेयर्स कन्वर्ट हुए, वो आपकी बैलेंस शीट में आ गए, डिपार्टमेंट ने उसको बैलेंस शीट में एक्सेप्ट भी कर लिया शेयर्स को, लेकिन क्योंकि इसका ओरिजिनल सोर्स जो था प्रॉपर्टी का वो बेनामी था, इसलिए इसको बेनामी पकड़ा जाएगा। वो ये नहीं कह सकता कि मैंने बाद में इसको रेगुलराइज कर लिया है और अभी ये बेनामी नहीं है, इट इज स्टैंडिंग इन माय नेम। सिमिलरली एक चीज और भी है कि जो प्रॉपर्टी पहले बेनामी के फॉर्म में ली गई, आज उसको हमने अपने नाम पे कर लिया है, सपोज मेरा ही पैसा था और मैंने अपने नाम पे कर लिया, तो हो सकता है डिपार्टमेंट ये भी लिटिगेशन करे कि जब आपने एक्वायर की थी एट दैट टाइम इट वाज बेनामी प्रॉपर्टी, आज आप बोलते हो कि आपने अपने नाम पे उसका टाइटल जो है परफेक्ट कर लिया है, वी विल ट्रीट दिस प्रॉपर्टी एज बेनामी प्रॉपर्टी, क्योंकि इसका ओरिजिनल जो जेनेसिस था वो बेनामी था। तो किसी भी तरीके का कन्वर्जन जो है प्रॉपर्टी का, वो लोग रेस्ट्रिक्ट कर रहे हैं कि पहले आप उसको बेनामी में के फॉल में लेके जाओ और बाद में उसको बोलो कि नहीं ये बेनामी नहीं है, तो कन्वर्ट हो गई है, या ये मैंने अपने नाम पे रिकॉग्नाइज कर लिया है, मैंने उसको क्लियर कर लिया है, तो फिर वो बेनामी में नहीं आनी चाहिए। इस तरीके का देखिए ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है इस एक्ट का, पूरा ऑब्जेक्टिव यह है कि जिसने भी अनऑथराइज्ड सोर्सेज से कोई पैसा बनाया है, whether it is in the form of immovable property, whether it is form of movable property, उस पर्टिकुलर प्रॉपर्टी को ये लोग सरकारी कब्जे में, गवर्नमेंट अपने कंट्रोल में लेना चाहती है और उस प्रॉपर्टी को अपने हिसाब से डील करना चाहती है। पूरा बेनामी लॉ इसी चीज पे है कि भाई आपने अगर किसी भी इलीगल सोर्सेज से कोई भी चीज कमाई, वो आपकी नहीं रह जाएगी इस एक्ट के आने के बाद। पर्पज यही है कि आपने पुराने पाप किए हैं, उस पुराने पाप को हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि क्योंकि ये प्रोहिबिशन एक्ट का अमेंडमेंट हमने 2016 में किया है तो 2016 के बाद की जितनी प्रॉपर्टी है वो आनी चाहिए, या उसका कन्वर्टेड फॉर्म नहीं आना चाहिए। इन सब चीजों को कवर करने के लिए इन्होंने ये बनाया है।
So that means the act is retrospectively applicable, you are saying, since 1988.
Yes, I presume it is to be retrospective, क्योंकि ये सिर्फ अमेंडमेंट है, it is not a new law. Law was already effective since 80s, 90s also.
88.
हाँ, sorry. तो उसमें क्या है कि जितनी भी प्रॉपर्टी
खुशीराम
हाँ जी
खुशीराम, अभी हम वहाँ नहीं जाएंगे क्योंकि दैट इज वी ऑलरेडी कवर्ड इन अवर फर्स्ट सेशन। अभी वहाँ हम नहीं जाएंगे। अभी मेरा एकदम लिमिटेड क्वेश्चन है, द वर्डिंग्स आर हियर वेयर द प्रॉपर्टी इज केपेबल ऑफ कन्वर्जन।
यस, तो सपोज आपके डिबेंचर हैं,
सुनो मैं समझ गया। डिबेंचर कन्वर्टेड इनटू शेयर्स, अंडरस्टैंड। प्रेफरेंस शेयर टू इक्विटी शेयर्स, अंडरस्टैंड।
करेक्ट।
गोल्ड बार्स टू ज्वेलरी, अंडरस्टैंड। कॉटन टू क्लॉथ, अंडरस्टैंड।
करेक्ट।
बट एक प्रॉपर्टी उसको बेच के मैंने दूसरी प्रॉपर्टी ली है तो वो कन्वर्जन में नहीं आएगी।
नहीं, इसमें क्या है ऑब्जेक्टिव किरीट भाई?
ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑब्जेक्टिव अपनी अपनी जगह पे सही है,
कैपेबल ऑफ बीइंग कन्वर्टेड इन सम अदर फॉर्म।
सब कुछ कन्वर्टेड है, सब कुछ कन्वर्टेड है,
यस यस इट इज
लैंड भी
वेरी
कन्वर्टेड है, तो फिर ऐसा
एनी काइंड ऑफ कन्वर्जन इज कवर्ड इन दिस
नहीं
डेफिनेशन।
तो व्हाई दे हैव रिटन वेयर द प्रॉपर्टी इज केपेबल ऑफ कन्वर्जन, सो दैट इज समथिंग दैट इज नॉट केपेबल, देयर इज समथिंग व्हिच इज नॉट केपेबल, तो व्हाट इज दैट थिंग व्हिच इज नॉट केपेबल, एवरीथिंग इज केपेबल। अगर हम ये
सपोज कोई प्रॉपर्टी ऐसी है जिसका फॉर द टाइम बीइंग जिसका ट्रांसफर जो है वो रेस्ट्रिक्टेड है या इसका तरीके से रेस्ट्रिक्टेड है, जैसे सपोज आपने कोई शेयर बेनामी में लिया, जैसे हम यस बैंक की बात करते हैं, उस शेयर को आप 3 साल तक डील नहीं कर सकते, ऐसा कुछ सिचुएशन जितना पार्टली मुझे पता है, या कोई डिबेंचर है जिसको हम आज की डेट में कन्वर्ट नहीं कर सकते लेकिन फ्यूचर में वो कन्वर्ट हो सकता है। तो उनका पर्पस सिर्फ ये है कि एनी प्रॉपर्टी विच इज केपेबल ऑफ बीइंग कन्वर्टेड शुड नॉट बी have a restriction in the form of कि भाई ये अभी कन्वर्ट नहीं हुआ है, ये बाद में होगा, या पहले किया है अभी नहीं। तो केपेबल ऑफ बीइंग कन्वर्जन का मतलब ये है कि एनी काइंड ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी चाहे वो आज कन्वर्ट हो सके या वो फ्यूचर में कन्वर्ट हो सके, वो भी हम इसमें इंक्लूड करते हैं, अपार्ट फ्रॉम दोज प्रॉपर्टी विच हैव ऑलरेडी बीन कन्वर्टेड इन पास्ट।
तो हाँ, अभी देखो आपका ये एक व्यू है कि आपका ये एक व्यू है कि कुछ भी मतलब कोई भी प्रॉपर्टी इज सोल्ड ट्रांसफर्ड कितने भी लेवल, अच्छा पहला तो सोल्ड ट्रांसफर और कितने भी लेवल पे तक जा सकता है। आज आपने एक प्रॉपर्टी बेची, दूसरी नहीं, समझो आपने घर बेचा, जमीन लिया, जमीन बेचा, आपने वापस घर लिया, वो घर लिया, समझो वो चलती रहे, चार पांच नया प्रॉपर्टी बनता गया। डू यू मीन टू से कि ये सब नई प्रॉपर्टी विल कम इन द क्लचेस ऑफ दिस प्रॉपर्टी?
यस ट्रू, क्योंकि इसका ऑब्जेक्टिव ये है कि जो जेनेसिस है इस पर्टिकुलर प्रॉपर्टी का, वो जेनेसिस जो है वो बेनामी है। तो सिंस जेनेसिस इज बेनामी, एंटायर चेन विल बिकम बेनामी। आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि मैंने 1988 में कोई अगर प्रॉपर्टी ली थी और वो मैं आज कन्वर्ट कर रहा हूं तो वो 98 को आप भूल जाओ, 88 को। सिर्फ पर्पस ये कि जितना हम एज पर लॉ हम इसमें जा सकते हैं, बेनामी लॉ के अंदर जितना पास्ट में हम जा सकते हैं, उतना पीरियड ये लोग कवर करके उसको इन्फोर्स करने की कोशिश में लगे हुए हैं कि जितनी भी प्रॉपर्टी हैं इस पर्टिकुलर पीरियड में, जब से ये लॉ हम इन्फोर्स करेंगे, वो पीरियड में सारी प्रॉपर्टी का आनी चाहिए, चाहे वो फ्यूचर में कन्वर्ट हो या ना हो।
ठीक है, तो अभी खुशीराम और हाँ, हु इज दैट?
क्रेडिट चेतन।
हाँ चेतन बोल लो।
I want see, even if it will not fall into the definition of the property which is capable of conversion, then also it will fall under the latter part, under section 2(8) of Benami property, which says that includes the proceeds of such property, and
yes.
also 226 which says that it also includes the proceeds of the proceeds from the property. So every proceed, whether either in the form of a cash, bank balance, or if it converted into any property like immovable, movable, everything will cover under this thing.
Generally
proceeds under conversion part.
Generally proceeds means cash or equivalent to cash. No.
इन काइंड भी इंक्लूड हो जाएगा इसमें किरीट भाई,
सब कुछ आ जाएगा।
अच्छा, तो प्रोसीड्स में आपने कहीं इन्वेस्ट किया,
हाँ
वो आ जाएगा, उसको बेच के वापस कहीं इन्वेस्ट किया तो वो आ जाएगा, मतलब वो आगे जितना भी आपके पास है। और समझो हमने वो पैसा यूज कर डाला पूरा, समझो आपने प्रॉपर्टी बेची, अभी प्रोसीड्स है ही नहीं, वो बेच के हमने यूज कर डाला, तो
जो पर्सन को प्रोसीड्स गया है उसको वो करेंगे कुछ, मगर वो कहाँ तक कर सकते हैं वो अलग बात है, क्योंकि वो प्रोटेक्शन उसको भी, अगर ही हैज परचेज और अक्वायर्ड दैट प्रॉपर्टी और विथ not knowing all this, then he is protected.
Okay, so we will ask Ananya her view also, and before I ask Ananya her view, I have another question over here. What do you mean by includes the proceeds from the property? I will give an example. I am holding a Benami property since 2001, and in 2010 I rented it out. So I have earned some rent income of say more than say 1 crore rupees right now. Suppose this example. So proceeds only include the proceeds on the sale transaction, or such types of income it can also be treated as this proceeds from the property. That is the second question. So what are the views?
भाई
हाँ,
इसमें देखिए आपकी जो प्रिंसिपल प्रॉपर्टी सिंस इट वाज बेनामी, तो उसका जो प्रोसीड आया है ना, तो हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि प्रॉपर्टी तो हमने बेच दी है और उसका प्रोसीड हमने किसी और चीज में यूटिलाइज कर लिया, तो आप उसको बेनामी ट्रीट नहीं कर सकते। इसीलिए ये लोग एक्सटेंडेड डेफिनेशन में जा रहे हैं कि एनी प्रोसीड्स ऑफ सच प्रॉपर्टी विल आल्सो बी ट्रीटेड एज बेनामी प्रॉपर्टी फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ दिस एक्ट।
आई गॉट दैट, वो हमने डिस्कस किया, लेकिन अभी प्रोसीड्स का मतलब क्या? प्रोसीड्स का
ये कि सपोज सेल प्रोसीड की ही बात कर रहे हैं और कोई इनका वो नहीं है।
तो
प्रोसीड की यही बात है कि सपोज शेयर्स आपके रिडीम हो गए, उसके प्रोसीड, या डिबेंचर आपके रिडीम हो गए
और डिविडेंड आया, समझो ये शेयर्स आई वाज होल्डिंग फॉर 10 इयर्स, आई रिसीव्ड डिविडेंड, hefty डिविडेंड, तो डिविडेंड नहीं कवर होगा?
डिविडेंड विल आल्सो बी कवर्ड क्योंकि इट इज समहाउ इंक्लूडेड अंडर द थ्योरी ऑफ कन्वर्जन।
नहीं कन्वर्जन नहीं, देखो मैंने शेयर्स बेनामी में हेल्ड किए हैं और वो आज मैं 10 साल से होल्ड कर रहा हूँ, 10 साल से मेरे पास डिविडेंड आया, जो प्रॉपर्टी मतलब बहुत डिविडेंड आया मेरे पास, तो वो डिविडेंड इज प्रोसीड्स, कैन वी से इट्स अ प्रोसीड्स फ्रॉम दैट प्रॉपर्टी?
नहीं वो नहीं कर सकते, रीजन है
वो नहीं आएगा, it will be only tax under income tax act, because the benamidar, the person who holds the share, in whose name the shares are there, he will be offering it for tax anyways.
That is fine. तो
लेकिन किरीट भाई हमको ये रिसर्च करनी पड़ेगी कि whether dividend will also be fall under the provisions of बेनामी प्रॉपर्टी, क्योंकि देखिए क्या है, प्रॉपर्टी की डेफिनेशन में अगर हम जाएं तो सिंस जो प्रॉपर्टी है वो तो खुद बेनामी है ही है, उसका जो इनकम आ रहा है whether that will also be considered as a बेनामी प्रॉपर्टी अंडर दिस एक्ट और नॉट, ये वाकई में बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन है और इसको रिसर्च करना चाहिए कि प्रॉपर्टी तो है ही है पर से बेनामी, लेकिन इसकी जो इनकम आ रही है वो भी बेनामी होनी चाहिए या नहीं होनी चाहिए, या ऐसा होगा कि जिस दिन उसको गवर्नमेंट ने डिक्लेयर किया कि भाई ये बेनामी प्रॉपर्टी है, वहां से आगे की इनकम गवर्नमेंट डिक्लेयर की उसके पहले की मेरी रहेगी।
नहीं देखो खुशीराम, इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन ये, वंस अ बेनामी ऑलवेज अ बेनामी।
यस,
अगर इट इज हेल्ड कि इट इज बेनामी, देन इट इज अ बेनामी फ्रॉम द डे वन। और डे वन से अगर बेनामी है तो गवर्नमेंट हैज अ राइट एंड गवर्नमेंट इज गोइंग टू कॉन्फिस्केट दैट प्रॉपर्टी। तो गवर्नमेंट बोलेगा ये सब जितना इनकम कमाया इज माय इनकम, दैट इज वन थियरी।
इसमें ये देखना पड़ेगा क्योंकि जब हम लोग आगे बढ़ेंगे ना जब इसको रिसर्च पे, तो वी कैन सी कि एनी इनकम डेराइविंग फ्रॉम सच प्रॉपर्टी विल फॉल अंडर बेनामी और नॉट, ये देखना पड़ेगा।
करेक्ट, ओके अनन्या,
डेफिनेशन इट इज आल्सो मेंशन्ड।
हाँ जी नहीं अमया
प्लीज करना,
sorry in the definition also mentioned, yes sir, in the definition it is also mentioned any right or interest in property, so dividend will be a matter of right now or a interest for a shareholder,
that we said,
Yes.
so it will fall naturally.
yeah but then you earn, that is there, and see it is interest is there, something ki you are getting something, interest is something you are holding it to it. Now
Right.
here is the income, dividend has come to you, now it is in your possession, that dividend you consume it, right? Suppose you consume it or you have kept in the fixed deposit or you utilize to buy another property, okay, yeah, so these are all facet, yeah.
इसमें एक चीज और देख सकते हैं किरीट भाई कि प्रैक्टिकली अगर हम इसको ऐसे सोचें कि जो डिविडेंड होगा वो भी हमारे उसी बैंक अकाउंट में आएगा जो हम इनकम टैक्स में दिखा नहीं रहे होंगे, क्योंकि अगर हम डिविडेंड दिखाने गए तो हमारा ऑब्वियस सी बात है हमारा वो प्रॉपर्टी भी निगाह में आता है गवर्नमेंट के, तो अगर सपोज वो डिविडेंड हम ऑलरेडी ऐसे अकाउंट में डाल रहे हैं जो डिस्क्लोज नहीं है तो वो भी इंट्रिंसिकली बेनामी हो गया एक तरीके से।
नहीं वो चीज हम लोग अभी नहीं डिस्कस करेंगे, ठीक है, अपन कोई और कमेंट कर रहा है क्या कोई?
I think Amaya can proceed.
नहीं अनन्या आपका अपना व्यू दियो ना अनन्या।
Sorry, on the proceeds wala point, I think it includes everything, because if the intention was to limit the word proceeds, then a word either income would have been used or the word consideration would have been used. The fact that the word proceeds has been used, that means income, consideration on account of sale या कुछ भी type की which is coming will come within the word proceed. मैं आपको एक example देती हूँ सर, एक बेनामी प्रॉपर्टी है तो बहुत आवाज आ रही है, तो आप सबको म्यूट पे डाल दीजिए and then we'll unmute ourselves. Okay, so what I'm saying is when I think the fact that the word proceed has been used, that means the intention is to cover everything. The intention could also be to cover dividend, it could be the intention could be to cover incomes of any type. The intention could be to cover consideration also when subsequently the property is sold. अगर word income किसी भी type जैसे dividend income, कोई भी interim income को cover करने का intention नहीं था, तो and the final का होता, then maybe the word would have been used consideration, and consideration which would arise subsequently जब the property sold होती. But or the word would have been used income, but the fact that the word proceed has been used, and that means कि income consideration सब कुछ include करना चाहते हैं. To give an example sir, एक बेनामी प्रॉपर्टी है और मैंने उसको रेंट पे डाल दिया, 10 साल उसका रेंटल इनकम आया मुझे, और 11वें साल पे जाके मैंने उसको बेच दिया, फिर मुझे कंसिडरेशन आई. नाउ आउट हियर द वर्ड, अगर सिर्फ वर्ड कंसिडरेशन यूज करते तो सिर्फ वो 11वें साल वाली कंसिडरेशन ऑन अकाउंट ऑफ सेल टैक्स कर पाते. अगर वर्ड सिर्फ इनकम यूज करते तो कोई कहता सिर्फ रेंटल इनकम आता है लेकिन फाइनल कंसिडरेशन नहीं आता. तो मेरे हिसाब से द वर्ड प्रोसीड्स हैज बीन यूज्ड, the intention is to include this 10 years का rental income also और 11वें साल में सेल के टाइम पे consideration also, which is why this word proceeds has been used. and ये बहुत uncommon word है sir. income tax act में हर जगह consideration या income word use होता है, proceeds बहुत कम use होते हैं. तो proceeds एक बड़ा दायरा है to include every kind of income और consideration जो भी arise हो सकते हैं. ये मेरी understanding है sir.
मैडम खुशीराम बोल रहा हूँ. मैडम इसमें सेक्शन में मेरे पास सामने बैरेक नहीं है, तो कैन यू कंफर्म कि उसमें सेल प्रोसीड लिखा है या प्रोसीड्स लिखा है सिर्फ?
मेरे पास भी तो सामने है, मैंने उसी से देखा, बट प्रोसीड्स लिखा है तो दैट इज व्हाई.
अगर प्रोसीड्स लिखा है तो आई एम आल्सो कॉन्करिंग योर व्यू कि इसमें पूरा 12 साल का ट्रांजैक्शन कवर होता है, बिकॉज इट इज नॉट रेस्ट्रिक्टेड टू एनी आइदर डेफिनेशन ऑफ इनकम और कंसिडरेशन और सेल प्रोसीड. इट मींस प्रोसीड्स ऑफ एनी काइंड.
Yes, yes. So मैंने ऐप देखा, उसमें proceeds ही है, which is why this is my understanding.
Then I concur with your view कि ये पूरा 12 साल का ट्रांजैक्शन कवर हो सकता है.
अच्छा अनन्या,
हाँ जी सर.
What is your view on conversion into some other form property capable of like?
Yes sir. So देखिए, I agree with जो अभी डिस्कशन चल रही है कि the intention is again कि लॉ का दायरा बड़ा रखे and everything that can be brought within this is brought. अगर मैंने अपने let's say मैंने अपने एम्प्लॉय को, मैंने अपने ड्राइवर को मैंने अपने ड्राइवर को प्रॉपर्टी दे दी अंडर द बेनामी, और बाद में मैंने उससे गिफ्ट में या विल डीड के अंदर ले ली वापस. So then obviously उसको अवॉइड करने के लिए it says कि capable of conversion in any other form. सर क्योंकि हमें ये जरूर याद रखना है, एंड लेट्स से मैंने इसको ब्लैक मनी से व्हाइट मनी किसी तरह कन्वर्ट कर लिया. अब वो सेक्शन 68 में टैक्स होता है, इनकम टैक्स एक्ट में नहीं होता, वहां सोर्स नेचर में उस सब में नहीं जा रहा बेनामी लॉ. बेनामी लॉ राइट नाउ इज ओनली कैप्चरिंग ऑन द फैक्ट कि हम अपने आप में ही वी आर एबल टू कवर दोस ट्रांजैक्शंस. So which is why they want to cover it whether it is converted in any form. But जो यहाँ पे चैलेंज आता है कि सर प्रॉपर्टी X थी, प्रॉपर्टी X का पैसा Y में गया, Y से A में गया, A से B में गया, अब कहाँ तक will we keep following that chain? अगर तो of course if it's a direct nexus X से Y वो समझ आता है, but X से Y से A से B से C तक वो प्रॉपर्टी बार बार डिफरेंट फॉर्म में कन्वर्ट होती रही, तो क्या सारी प्रॉपर्टीज देखी जाएंगी? If there is a direct nexus and eventually the idea is to capture the black money, तो इवेंचुअली वी आर एबल टू शो कि 100 करोड़ की ब्लैक मनी ही X से Y से A से B से C तक जाती जा रही है बार बार, देन ऑफ कोर्स इट शुड बी ब्रॉट विद इन द लेटर ऑफ लॉ, बिकॉज इसी को तो कैप्चर करने का इंटेंशन है.
Yeah. So you mean to say कि it may go into up to any level?
Yes, because I mean again the law is silent, and the fact that they are saying कि conversion into any other form. Now the point is कि the idea is कि ये 100 करोड़ को हमने within the letter of law लाना है. अब अगर तो ये direct nexus है सर और 100 करोड़ ही बार बार X से Y से A से B में जाता जा रहा है, then fine. But of course if there are variations, new money is coming in, उस money का क्या source है? 100 करोड़ की जगह मैंने 150 करोड़ की प्रॉपर्टी खरीदी और 50 करोड़ बेनामी नहीं है, तो उसका कलर भी तो हर लेवल पे चेंज होता रहेगा.
इसमें केट भाई एक चीज और हम डिस्कस कर सकते हैं कि जो अभी हम पेनी स्टॉक का मैटर हमने क्लाइंट्स का हैंडल कर रहा है, उसमें भी देखिए एक तरीके से कन्वर्जन की थ्योरी लगती है कि आपने अपना अनअकाउंटेड पैसा जो है उसको आपने लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन क्योंकि एग्जेम्प्ट था उसको आप करके अपने बैलेंस शीट में लेके आ गए. तो अब क्योंकि ये इतना सब निकल के आएगा तो इसमें बेनामी का इशू भी आएगा कि ये जो आपका अनअकाउंटेड मनी आपने कन्वर्ट किया है वेदर इट इज बेनामी और इट इज योर मनी. तो इनकम टैक्स में एक व्यू ये आएगा कि ये क्योंकि अनएक्सप्लेन्ड है, सेक्शन 68 लगता है, जैसे मैडम ने बोला कि उधर क्या होता है पता नहीं, लेकिन इधर जरूर ये इशू आएगा कि आपका अनअकाउंटेड मनी था विच शुड बी कंसीडर्ड एज बेनामी, और आपने जो कन्वर्जन किया है अपने ब्लैक मनी को व्हाइट मनी में, तो वी विल नॉट कंसीडर दैट.
नहीं वो है ना, अभी वो चीज है ना, अभी डेफिनेशन जब देखेंगे ना बेनामी ट्रांजैक्शन,
हाँ
तो वो उसमें टेस्ट करना पड़ेगा कि क्या ऐसा ट्रांजैक्शन उसमें फिट होता है क्या.
करेक्ट.
हाँ ठीक है. या
किरीट भाई एक बेसिक क्वेश्चन है.
हाँ सुजीत,
अभी हमने ये डिस्कस करा कि that dividend, for example I'm taking the example of your dividend, the dividend has already been taxed under the income tax act, so the legal owner, the benamidar, has already offered it to tax. Will that make any difference? I mean the objective of the benami law and the objective of income law are different. Income tax is to tax that income And the Benami Act is not to tax that income, I believe. I mean,
बेनामी तो पूरा ले ही लेने का है, उनको ले ही लेने का है पूरा.
Yeah, that should not I mean make a difference.
हाँ. So अभी क्वेश्चन ऐसा आता है, मतलब देखो जैसे ऐसा डिस्कशन होता है तो ऐसा आता है कि समझो डिविडेंड लेने का, डिविडेंड इज सब्जेक्ट टू प्रॉपर्टी, तो टैक्स भरा है तो टैक्स लेस करके फिर डिविडेंड गिनती करने का ना, मतलब वो बात की बात है. विद द टाइम ऑफ अटैचमेंट वी आर गोइंग फार अहेड ऑफ आवर डिस्कशन. जब भी अटैचमेंट होगा, जब भी सब होगा, डिविडेंड की बात आई, चलो डिविडेंड ग्रॉस लेवल के थी, टैक्स भर दिया तो लेस मिलेगा ना, मतलब वो मिलेगा लॉजिकली. ओके, ठीक है. Yeah, good. So I think on property we have discussed. Anybody has any issue can still discuss later on also. लेकिन ये हमने पूरा कवर कर लिया प्रॉपर्टी का, ठीक है. और एक छोटा सा और भी एक इश्यू है अनन्या, इट मे नॉट बी मटेरियल. पहले 1988 में प्रॉपर्टी का डेफिनेशन था, प्रॉपर्टी मींस प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ एनी काइंड.
yes.
अभी डेफिनेशन से प्रॉपर्टी मींस एसेट्स ऑफ एनी काइंड, मतलब द वर्ड प्रॉपर्टी इज सब्स्टिट्यूटेड बाय वर्ड एसेट्स.
yes sir.
I don't think there will be any implication. Can you see any difference, like why or something in generic?
नहीं sir, I don't really think so. Difference अगर आता भी तो शायद आता, but the fact that now of movable property, immovable, tangible, intangible, corporeal, incorporeal, सब कुछ rights, interest, सब कुछ add कर दिया, so eventually I mean it will get captured in one of those forms. The idea is to ensure कि all different types of forms जिनके साथ कोई value attach होती है वो within the concept of property आ जाए.
Okay, all right. Let's proceed, Maya.
I just have a follow-up one question for Ananya just spoke that the entire chain will get covered. Suppose X से Y जा रहा है, Y से A, B, C. So my just question is, if A, B, C or B, C are not aware of this arrangement, it was originally a Benami, would that get covered?
So there's section 27 and section 57 directly which covers these kind of scenarios when the subsequent buyer is a bona fide purchaser or is innocent about the happening of this transaction. So I think the section 2757 is being dealt with in the PPT, so I'll leave it for the speakers. But there are direct provisions for this also.
Okay.
Yeah, proceed.
Kirit bhai, one last question. Kirit bhai.
हाँ.
One last question. जैसे प्रॉपर्टी में बताया गया ना कि मैंने पहले एक प्रॉपर्टी खरीदी थी, उसको बेच के दूसरी ली, दूसरे को बेच के तीसरी ली थी, all three properties will be covered, right? So similarly, what about cash? Like अगर आपने जो एग्जांपल दिया था कि 11 महीने के लिए 10 years के लिए रेंट भी अर्न किया है, तो वो रेंट की जो इनकम है वो पैसे से अगर मैंने कुछ और भी अर्न किया है तो वो भी कवर होगा क्या? वहां पे भी लूप चालू रहेगा क्या?
नहीं, I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. Ananya can throw some light कि रेंट में से वापस मैंने कुछ कमाया, रेंट को मैंने शेयर मार्केट में डाला और मैंने कमाया करोड़ों रुपया. सब कुछ नहीं कवर होगा. आई थिंक इसमें भी है
ऐसे तो मतलब इट विल बी वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू ड्रॉ द लाइन, क्योंकि अगर आपने शेयर्स में लगाया और डिविडेंड कमाया और फिर उसको कहीं और लगा दिया तो where will we stop the flow of chain in that kind of a situation? So I mean again in any other form actually ये जो इन्होंने open ended छोड़ दिया, this will cause a lot of problem. So एक तो एग्जांपल जो मैंने दिया कि X से Y से A के प्रॉपर्टी ही चेंज हो रही है बट पैसा सेम रह रहा है, वो इसमें आएगा कि यू नो इनकम से इनकम जो जनरेट हो रही है, जैसे आप एग्जांपल दे रहे हैं, वो सब भी इसमें आएगा. सो आई थिंक फॉर्म मे बी द प्रॉपर्टी का फॉर्म ओनली दे आर लुकिंग एट, बट अगर इनकम की फर्दर इनकम आती रही तो वो तो फिर देन वो बहुत ज्यादा आई मीन द दायरा ऑफ लॉ फिर बहुत लंबा खींचा जाएगा उस सिचुएशन में.
राइट. और सेक्शन 64 में भी ऐसा है ना कि अगर इफ द मनी इज गिवन यू नो विदाउट कंसीडरेशन टू समवन and out of that money if somebody is earning some other money, that is not club in clubbing provisions, right? There is the same principle is applied, like what you can club only the first level income you can club, right? Not the second level income.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Amaya, proceed. अमय को क्या म्यूट कर डाला क्या मैंने? अमय या yes Amay.
Yes. So as you all are already aware that mostly houses, cars and jewelry have been traditionally been considered to be property for the purpose of Benami law. However, with the new amended act, even the shares securities and intellectual property have been put up under the Benami property, have been included. So this clearly shows us the intention of the legislature to crack down such practices. Now I will touch upon few tests as to what is called a Benami property. I have put up 6 tests. First one being source from which the purchase money came from. Second one being nature and possession of the property after the purchase. Third one being motive and intentions, if any, for giving the transaction a Benami color. Fourth one being position of the parties and the relationship, if any, between the claimant and the alleged Benamidar. Fifth one being custody of the title deeds after sale. Sixth one being conduct of the parties concerned in dealing with the property after the sale.
Yeah, Amaya.
So these are the 6 tests which I have put up.
Yeah, Amaya, these tests are in relation to Benami transactions.
Sir,
Okay.
Benami property also you can call it.
No, property ultimately part of the Benami transaction. Whether this complete transaction is Benami or no, yeah, these are the 6-7 these are the 6-7 factor.
Yes, sir.
Courts
Yes.
have held that one should look into this.
Yes, sir.
कौन क्यों पैसा तू देगा और प्रॉपर्टी किसी और के नाम पे?
Yes, sir.
So these are all factors to be determined at the time of determining the overall transaction is Benami or no. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now I will touch upon the aspect that property which may not be considered as a Benami property. So here I will highlight 3 points. First one being, if the property is transferred but the contract of transferring the property is partly executed, the same shall not be considered as a Benami property. Second one being, if the property transaction is done based upon the general power of attorney GPA, through a registered contract and even stamp duty is paid on the same, such property will not be considered as a Benami property. And the third one being, Benami property declared under the IDS 2016, that is Income Declaration Scheme, will no longer be treated as Benami property. So these are the 3 points which I have dealt on, which will not be considered as a Benami property. Now
Yeah.
I have, yes sir.
Yes, proceed.
Now I have 9 questions on which we can deliberate on. If you give me the permission, I will just read out the 9 questions.
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. First one being, what is the distinction between the words property and assets, as in comparison to the 1988 Act definition of the term Benami did not have the word asset.
We already discussed, Amaya,
Yes.
we already discussed some time back. These are all the questions I have raised
Okay.
to Amaya, and now it is
Yes.
pointed. So many of them have already been discussed, but still you can read.
Yes, sir. Now I request sir to take through the Benami transaction
Hello,
part.
Kirit.
Yeah.
Chetan here.
Chetan.
Yeah, I don't think there is any difference between word property and asset as such. Only thing is that property also ultimately defined as an asset. And so suppose there is I have a future contract in which I am out of money. So which is I am in the loss. So where
Chetan, your voice is not coming.
Hello.
Yeah.
So now.
Yeah. Now अभी सुना ही सकते हैं.
So suppose I am dealing in futures and options, and I have a future contract in which I am out of money, so I am in loss. So whether that will be considered as a property, I think it will not be, because it's not an asset, it's a liability. Actually, I have to pay that money.
Yeah, possible. Yeah. So I think
So future contract which in which I am out of money cannot be considered as my asset, or will not fall under the property.
see, assets is something where you are going to receive something, some title, monetary benefit, right? So let us not go there, ये सब पे अभी नहीं जाते हैं, हाँ? और अभी देखेंगे जब ऐसा कुछ आएगा तो, ओके? हाँ, तो ये सब क्वेश्चंस हमने कवर कर लिया है, मैंने सब डिस्कशन में कवर कर लिया है. अभी हम बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट डेफिनेशन में जा रहे हैं, and Rajendra going to take it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kirit bhai.
Yeah.
Basically, now what we are going to deal with is Benami transaction, what it means. And there are, basically in case of section 2(9), where the Benami transaction is defined, actually it consists of 4 major categories. There are 4 types of Benami transaction broadly, you can say, and which is defined under this particular act. This is a long definition. So all 4 categories, the wording of each category each subclause starts with a transaction or an arrangement. Okay, if you see the capital A, a transaction or arrangement, capital B also a transaction or arrangement, and then further there are explanation given and the law has been mentioned in that. So what I would do is, like, first I'll read out and then word by word we'll try and analyze that. And like, if you find anything to give input or pitch in, you can do that. So basically I'll just read out a transaction or an arrangement wherein subclause, there are two subclauses, small a and small b. A subclause A says where a property is transferred to or is held by a person and the consideration for such property has been provided or paid by another person. See, basically this is the crux of the Benami transaction, wherein, like, a property is held by one person or transferred to one person who's a Benamidar, basically a transferee, and the consideration of that property has been provided or paid by another person, that is the beneficial owner. We'll come to the definition of Benamidar and beneficial owners also, but then we have to understand in common parlance that Benamidar is the person who is actually holding the property on his name, whereas the consideration for that is being paid by the beneficial owner, another person. And this is the definition which was there in the original Act of 1988. Only thing is the word held by was not there. And there is another subclause B which says that the property is held for immediate and future benefit, that is direct or indirect, of the person who has provided the consideration. And then there are exceptions when the property is held by and all that. We'll not get into that. We'll try and analyze these first two subclauses. So now we'll go word by word. A transaction or arrangement. A transaction or an arrangement is not defined in the law, is not defined in the Act, Benami Transaction Act. It is defined, we have to, we have to go to the section 231, as Ame has said. 231 gives the, benefit, the residual kind of definitions, wherein the definition is not, when the word is not defined in this particular act, then one has to borrow the meaning from other acts such as income tax and various other acts which Ame has read out. So basically the transaction or an arrangement is also not defined in 231 or any other place. So what we'll go into is transaction is defined in the Oxford law, Oxford Dictionary. Oxford Dictionary gives the meaning of transaction. It says an instance of buying and selling, the action of conducting business, also exchange or interaction between people. So that means we have to go for this particular definition in we have to understand as per the English dictionary. And arrangement means that, again, an agreement between the two or more parties to carry out a planned transaction in a particularly agreed manner. So that is in, again, a general parlance. So nowhere defined, like, any of the acts as given in 231. So transaction and arrangement, once we understand, we'll get into the definition. So the subclause A says the transaction or arrangement where the property is transferred to. The property is already defined or is held by. Held by means here the meaning of held by is possession by a person. Now we'll get into the definition of person. Person is defined over here as individual, AOP, BOI, firm, company, or any artificial juridical person. So it could be an individual also and any other, as we understand in the normally. And the consideration for such property is provided by another person. So now what we have to see here is provided by and paid by another person. So paid by, as you understand in general terms, it is paid in cash or check by another person. But provided, what do you mean by provided? Then provided, again, that is nowhere defined in the act. So we go into the common parlance, wherein it says provided means arranged for. Arranged for in the sense it could be in the form of loan from bank. It could be form of unsecured loan from any other person. So basically the person who's paying for the property is either paying in cash from his own sources or he is arranging for that. So that is why the word provided has been used.
Rajendra.
Yeah.
So my one question is like this. Okay. Suppose my brother is buying a property. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm an NRI and I have got huge money with me. Okay. So I give him money in his bank account as a gift, and then he purchases property. That is one situation. Second situation, I give him a loan, interest-free loan, and then he purchases property. Okay. So can it be covered into this being provided?
I think, sir, Kirit, both the transaction will not come under this Benami transaction when we proceed further, because in the exception.
No. So this is, sorry. Yeah, I covered in exception. But suppose I give you, now you are my friend, and I am giving you as a gift, and you are paying taxes on gift. Okay. Or I am giving you as loan. Right, and then so that will that be covered?
That is also excluded because it is like in the normal course it would be a genuine business transaction, in the sense you are giving me loan out of your known or declared sources of income. I am also showing it as disclosing it as a loan taken from Kirit Bhai. So both of us are showing. I don't think it will fall under Benami transaction.
Okay, now my driver whose income is only 10,000 a month.
Yeah,
I am giving him a loan of 1 crore rupees in his bank account. And then through his bank account, I'm giving a loan and he's buying that house.
Yeah, sir. So such transaction would fall under this, definitely.
So there is. Yeah. Can I say I have not paid directly, but I have provided? That can be fit into that provided definition.
Yeah, I think we'll see in the second limb of this particular definition only. I think it will be answered there, then and there only. This is just the next one, the subclause B, where it is saying the property is held for immediate or future benefit, direct or indirect, of the person who has provided the consideration. So that will answer your question.
Yes.
That it is not for the driver, it is for you, actually for your benefit. Whether it is direct benefit, indirect benefit, whether it is immediate benefit or future benefit, you want to just show for the namesake that money has been given to your driver, who's going to either invest in property or keep with him, so that it becomes beneficial for you at the time being, and then later on you can make use of it directly or indirectly, or it will be kept for the future benefit. You will be certainly taking it back because you are the beneficial owner. Okay, your driver is the Benamidar in such a case, in your example. So I think that explains. Anybody has any kind of query?
Rajendra, hi.
Yeah.
Rahul.
Yeah, Rahul.
Just to take this example of Kirit Bhai forward, right, where a person has given 1 crore rupees as a loan to a driver, right, and the driver is purchasing a property, right, in his name, but it is for the benefit of the child of that person. Right.
Whose child is the Kirit Bhai child? You mean?
Yes. In that case, although the clause B says the property is held for the immediate or future benefit, direct or indirect, right, of the person who has provided the consideration, right? See, two persons are different and they will be different basically in every time in future also.
Sir, but then it will fall under direct or indirect?
No, but indirect, see, this is not for my indirect benefit of myself. This is for my child. See, for example, if I have a separation with my child, if I disown that child, for example, right, ultimately the benefit will go to that child in future. So can I say it is an indirect benefit to me? Because it says that it is for the benefit directly or indirectly of that person who provided the consideration.
So basically that will be like defrauding the other people, this intention for this particular transaction, what you are saying, it is for defrauding the intention of the law, the defrauding the others, so it will also fall under Benami transaction according to my view. But then what you are saying, technically I'm going to disown the person and all those things. I think we'll have to mistake. That could be another, you can say, a tax planning case. But then at the same time, we have to see the intention of the law and what the provision says. And as for that, direct and indirect, you will fall under that, direct or indirect.
Yeah, because my only point is if I go by the literal reading of this provision, right? So the benefit is linked to the person, whether it is directly or indirectly, particularly of that person who has provided the consideration. Now, if it is for the third person, in future, what will happen between those two people, that is something which is different, right? but ultimately the benefit is going to the third person, not the person who is
No,
providing.
but we are talking about not about the future thing. No, we are talking about the transaction is happening now.
No, so
And
that's why.
what
That's
is
why
the
I'm
situation?
saying. That's why I'm saying if the benefit is going to a third person, whether currently or in future, it is not for the person who has provided the consideration. So that basis a literal reading, because I have seen all the four limbs, right? A, B, C, D. I do not see this transaction coming in any of the limb, although we can discuss it later. The benefit.
I think it's like there are chances what you are saying could be, it's like, it could be one type of tax planning, or you can say escaping these particular clutches of the law. But at the same time, I think it falls under direct or indirect, because it is clearly a case wherein you are investing or rather giving it to somebody for the benefit of your own son. Maybe you're saying like, in future you are going to disown him or whatever. As of now, it is for the immediate or future benefit of you or your dependent, and you have provided the consideration. So I think you will squarely fall under this particular definition.
I think only two comments here.
Rajendra, can I add here? See, this entire act is on about regarding your intention. So at the time of entering,
so I was just coming to that.
Yeah, what was your intention? Your intention.
Yeah. I'm just coming to that only. Basically, Chetan bhai, I'll just tell you, this particular subclause B is added after there is the Supreme Court decision, Thakur Bhim Singh versus Thakur Khan Singh, wherein the Supreme Court has, in their decision, has laid down the parameters for determining whether the transaction is Benami or not. And that transaction, Benami transaction, gives the gist of this particular decision. If I read out the decision, it will be too long, but then the gist of the decision is this subclause B only: the property is held for the immediate or future benefit, direct or indirect, of the person who has provided the consideration. So it says that only, and that is why this particular Amendment Act 2016 has included this particular clause, which was not there in the earlier law, the principal law of 1988.
Yeah, Rajendra.
Yeah.
So if I conclude this way, there are two conditions to be fulfilled to be treated as Benami transaction. First is that the property is held by a person and the consideration is paid by some other one, and property is for the immediate or future benefit of the person who has paid the consideration.
Who has provided the consideration.
If the payment is made by someone else, but ultimately he is not going to take the benefit now or future. If it is proved by the person who is being alleged that this is a Benami property, he has to prove that, Baba, I have given this, I have bought this property and I am not going to benefit. Now it is in the possession of my XY child. And
so then, Kirit, it will become a gift only, in that case.
Barabar. So yeah, but by conduct also something, the person who is alleged will have to prove that. Okay, I am not going.
Practically, anybody, means like what you are saying is the stand will be taken by the person.
Yeah.
Because he will be not wanting to go into jail because there is stringent law. If it is proved to be Benami transaction.
Right.
So ultimately, that is going to happen. That person will be saying that the Benamidar will say it is his property, and the beneficial owner will disown the property.
Yeah.
In order to avoid the clutches of the law. But then, what you are saying, it can be means like in income tax it is considered as gift, and under that 56 section 56(2), you will be falling under this indirect gift tax. One can say like when you are gifting more than 50,000 rupees to unrelated person.
But then there is not going to be a such type of formal transaction, so that income tax may not be attracted, because it is
no, but then that particular definition is wide enough to consider such type of transaction as taxable transaction under income tax.
And Kirit bhai, I just want to add here, because see, most of those transactions which are mentioned in the Income Tax Act, those are between relatives. So this kind of basically transaction which you just mentioned, this will happen most likely in a case where the people are connected. Now, if the people are connected, then what Rajendra bhai has just explained, it will be considered as an indirect benefit, right? So ultimately, it will fall basically into the clutches of this law, Benami law.
Yeah, either way, either Benami or, as you are saying, if it is gifted, then under Income Tax Act, because it is going to be unrelated person, you and your driver. in your example.
Right.
Kushiram, you wanted to say something?
Yes, yes. राजेंद्र भाई, मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है जो किरीट भाई ने एग्जांपल दिया उसमें कि जैसे हम 1 करोड़ लोन देते हैं अपने एम्प्लॉई को और वो जो लोन मैंने दिया है वो मैंने अपने डिस्क्लोज सोर्सेज से दिया है, देन व्हाट? हमारा तो
सर वो एक्सेप्शन में आ रहा है. If you want me to like it is just after this only.
Yes, ठीक है, ठीक है.
Yeah, after that we'll definitely take it up if it is not answered.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Anybody else? Shall I proceed?
Yeah, you proceed. Yeah, proceed.
Yeah. So basically, I think this is what I just wanted to say about this particular subclause A and B. That even if it is the consideration which is paid, even if it is out of tax paid money, need not be black money, then also it will be a Benami transaction. So if you have this particular thing in mind that it is only the black money, if it is used in such type of transaction for the consideration, then only it is a Benami. It is not that. Even the tax paid money, white money, you can call it as a Benami. Okay. And immediate and future benefit, I just wanted to add, immediate benefit could be the rentals in case of immovable property, and future benefit is the appreciation, which we discussed earlier. So the intention is very important here, which is added in the Amendment Act. Okay. Now we'll go to the exception, except when their property is held by. There are 4 exceptions again, like main 4 major clauses, and then there are 4 exceptions subclauses wherein it says the first exception is a karta or a member of Hindu or undivided family, as the case may be, and the property is held for his benefit or benefit of other members in the family, and the consideration for such property has been provided or paid out of known sources of Hindu undivided family. So this is basically to exclude or exempt the transaction in relation to HUF. Basically, in case of HUF, the karta or the member of HUF, if he buys the property in name of any of the members of that particular HUF, and the consideration is paid by such karta or any other member, then this particular transaction will not fall under the Benami property. And most important thing here is the known sources of Hindu undivided family. What do you mean by known sources? So known sources means is not same as known sources of income. See, known sources of income, as you know, in the common parlance, is like the taxable income. But there could be known sources, means HUF can borrow also from any other person and from bank or whatever. So known sources is far wider term than the sources of income. So that one has to see. Now the second exception, if it is clear, then we'll go to the second exception.
I think it's clear.
I think it is very straightforward. Then second exception, in case of a person standing in fiduciary capacity for the benefit of another person, towards who stands in such a capacity, that is fiduciary capacity, and includes, it is an inclusive definition which shows trustee for a trust, executor, partner, director for a company, and a depository or a participant as an agent of depository under the Depository Act 96. This amendment was made in the old act also in 96 in relation to the depository wherein the shares will be held in the demat form by the participant or the depository as an agent of this particular depository. So under that particular act, to avoid this that particular transaction to fall under this Benami, this exclusion has been made. Or any other person notified by the central government from time to time, as you know, government can always include in this particular list. So fiduciary capacity, I think it is very clear that you are not holding the property for yourself. It is just for the sake of, means like in case of a partnership firm, a partner can hold it on behalf of firm. In case of a company, a director can hold it. Because of various reasons, it is cannot be held in the name of company, then director can hold it. And then the fiduciary capacity is defined everywhere, and it is very clear that such transaction will not fall under the clutches of this law and under the Benami transaction.
Rajendra.
Yeah.
Here fiduciary capacity and includes. So these are the example of trustee, executor, partner. But there can be any other situation possible. There you are the person is standing in the fiduciary capacity.
So that is why it is inclusive definition, not the exhaustive. So it can be any other capacity. When we prove that it is like power of attorney holder on behalf of another person, then it is also principal agent relationship, or that particular transaction is just for the sake of standing in such a capacity because the other person wants it. So that does not mean to defraud or avoid this particular law or the clutches of the Benami transaction provisions. So that is why it is allowed, and it was there in earlier law also. So basically, this is pretty clear that government doesn't want to include such transaction because otherwise it will give it will be source of litigation for many things under this particular act, because there are so many transactions which are registered, their immoral property transactions especially registered under the person who's working as in a fiduciary capacity on behalf of the organization for which he represents. All right, then shall I move to the third one?
No, so Ananya, can you share what could be that any other fiduciary capacity other than this listed any idea?
Actually, what happened was when this law was coming, there were talks to have legal advisors also in the definition of fiduciary capacity. And I think that was proposed in the bill also. But that was asked to be removed because it was said that, a lot of people give power of attorney, like general POA, for purposes of executing a lot of documents to legal advisor. The word used was legal advisor. So will that include CS, lawyers, both, I'm guessing? But any professional acting within the scope of being a legal advisor. So at that point of time, purposely, because the idea was that, if you give a POA to a legal advisor and then he's doing certain transactions, then, they may be Benami transactions which should otherwise be brought within the letter of law, but they might then go out of the purview because they'll fall under the exception and not brought within the letter of law. So purposely that was removed, and the intention was to only restrict it to, direct ones like trustee, executors, partners, direct, which can be directly relatable. So keeping that in mind, because those kind of like legal advisors and some others were also there, have been removed. I'm not quite sure now what would be much left of, bringing other kind of fiduciary relationships within the scope of law out here.
Oh, got it. Yes,
right. So the exception number 3 that says any person being an individual in the name of his spouse or in the name of any child of such individual, and the consideration for such property has been provided or paid out of known sources of individual. So there are 2 limbs again. Basically, any person, it's like the property is held by any person in the name of his spouse and or any child of such individual, and the consideration is paid by the known sources of the individual, out of the unknown sources of the individual. Here again, that income is not there. So known sources of the individual could be loan taken by that individual, and then the property is owned by his children or his like wife or husband. Basically, herein the child includes stepchild also or adopted child also, as well as the major daughter or son and married daughter also.
Right.
Okay. So basically, this is a common practice, or you say it is a common in in case of any of the members of the family. We normally take the property in another name for certain reasons, and then that has been happening over the years. So this particular practice is their common practice. So that is why this particular exception has been included. All right.
Yeah.
So the last one now is 4th one. Any person in the name of his brother or sister or lineal ascendant or descendant, where the names of brother or sister or lineal ascendant and descendant and the individual appear as joint owners in any document, and the consideration for such property has been provided or paid out of known sources of the individual. So I think here in that particular definition also, any person is said, but being an individual has been excluded, but it has to be, that particular word has to be there. Being if you read number 3 where it says any person being individual, because if you are individual, then only your brother or sister or lineal ascendant and descendant would be there. So in this particular definition, like you can include half brother, wherein the parent, one parent is common. Okay. So that could be a brother or sister, half brother or sister. But cousin, brother or sister is not included. Step brother or sister is not included in this particular subclause. So basically, a brother or sister includes only this particular your own brother, real brother and sister. Cousins and step brothers are not included. Okay. Lineal ascendant and descendant, as you know, under Income Tax Act, it is the like your father, forefather, and in the same line your son, the grandson, as well as the daughter and granddaughters. Okay.
Is this exclusion of stepbrother given somewhere?
Yeah, it has been specifically given in the. It does not include stepbrother and cousin, sister, and brother.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now this is
here, Rajendra.
Yeah.
Here, the very important point to be noted is that the person has to be holding the property jointly with the brother and sister. If I am buying a
so
property,
I'm coming to that. Yeah, that is what. So your name, there are two conditions in fact specifically. One is though it is the amount should be paid out of the consideration should be paid out of known sources, and second is the joint ownership in the document. Means like your name has to be there. Along with your name, only that is allowed as a. Otherwise, it becomes a Benami transaction. So anybody wants to say anything about this? And this is in the under Indian Succession Act, the definition, it is borrowed from there. Somebody was saying about this definition. Yeah, we'll go to the now basically because time is less. So I think at least this we should cover broadly the major four types or categories of the transactions, Benami transaction. So now we have covered the type A or the clause A. Now we'll go to category B, which says a transaction of arrangement, which we have already seen, in respect of property carried out or made in a fictitious name. So this is an important this thing definition wherein we have to see the this is arrangement or transaction in respect of a property carried out in a fictitious name. Means that person who's the Benamidar, in whose name the transaction is carried out, he is not existing. He is non-existent and he is fictitious person. So what happens to such property? Such as, I can give you example of demonetization. And just mind you, this is not a sham or bogus transaction. Sham and bogus transaction is wherein like, it is a paper transaction. It's like you actually transfer the property on paper, but then it is not getting registered or the title is not transferred. Okay. But herein it is saying it is carried out in a fictitious person name. In the sense the registration or all other format is done. The example I can give you in case of demonetization transaction, wherein a demonetization period, the transaction of putting cash in the bank account of such fictitious person has taken place. And then the withdrawal of that particular money or transfer it to some other account or beneficial owner's account, that has happened. So transactions of such type will fall under this.
Rajendra?
Yeah.
Fictitious name in the sense there will be some name, no?
Now the person is fictitious. He is not existing.
But a bank account, can you open a bank account in the fictitious
Sir, you can always create a person need not go to open a bank account. No? You can give PAN card, you can give Aadhaar card, you can do any other.
Correct.
Or maybe the person is dead or
correct. Got that.
That actually, yes, sir. Sir, actually during demonetization, what was happened was, I have an example on this, that if a person deposits his old currency in the account of another person with an arrangement that such that the account holder will return the money in a new currency is also Benami transaction. So this had happened during demonetization.
Yeah. There are many cases. In fact, this is first taken up by Income Tax Department and then it is transferred to these Benami prohibition units later on. It's like the last year only this particular assessment have happened wherein such transactions were identified of 16-17 financial year because that particular demonetization period. So AY 17-18, all this I think they must have referred it to Benami prohibition because this will fall under Benami.
Because the definition of property includes cash, so cash has also.
Correct. Right. So now we go to the clause C, wherein says a transaction or arrangement in respect of property where owner of the property is not aware of or denied knowledge of such ownership. In the sense, the person, the Benamidar, who's owning the property or the legal owner of the property doesn't know that he's owning that property or he's not aware of this such a way. So this is a newly inserted section in Amendment Act 2016. and wherein you can say a driver's example of Kiritbhai, or any substaff wherein you can deposit in his name or buy property in his name, and whereas he is not aware what is obviously, maybe he is aware, but then he has just signed and then he is not aware of the true color of the transaction.
He is aware, but he now denies. Now denies.
Now denies. So basically, such type of transaction will fall under this and will be a Benami transaction. And the last one is the transaction of arrangement in respect of a property where person providing consideration is not traceable or is fictitious. So now it is the other way around, in the sense the beneficial owner, the person who has paid the consideration, is not traceable or is a fictitious person. Okay. So basically the Benamidar is available, but the beneficial owner is not there who has provided for this particular, or maybe it is a fictitious. So third person has carried out this particular transaction. So basically, the Benamidar will become responsible in such case, because the beneficial owner is not traceable. And such type of transaction, I can give example in case of the, everybody knows, those who are practicing the loans and shares. Penny, as a penny stock, somebody has mentioned, but then similar type of things people used to give shares or subscribe shares of a company at a very higher premium, and then it used to be in the fictitious names. So that will fall under this Benami transaction. And similarly, in case of loans, we find many balance sheets where loans are outstanding, but then there is no real owner of this loan or lender of the particular loans, and it is just the money of the person itself, and then it is shown under a fictitious name. So those type of transaction will fall under this particular deed.
So you mean to say?
Yeah.
Rajendra, my name is Avnish. Sorry to interject. I was just circling back to clause A, if you allow me a minute.
Yeah,
you mentioned on the exception, subclause 2, or rather subclause 3, that the property should be jointly held with the person providing the funds. How do we read that, or how do we come to that conclusion?
Sir, it is subclause 4, where it's saying the brother or sister, you mean to say, right?
No, the child one. The child one and the brother and sister, both.
Sir, in child, there is no joint ownership required.
Child, there is no, so that was my doubt. So I kind of then overheard it wrongly.
Yeah, no problem. It is there in front of you only. If you read out, there is no joint ownership.
There is no joint ownership. That was my doubt. So I was wondering how did we arrive.
In case of fourth, that in case of brothers, sisters, and lineal ascendant.
Yeah, there it is mentioned as joint owners. Yeah, correct. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So now I go to the explanation to this particular section, because there are these 4 exemptions I have already completed. But then there is one more explanation which says that for removal of doubt, it is hereby declared that the Benami transaction shall not include any transaction involving allowing possession of property to be taken and retained in part performance of contract referred under Section 53A of Transfer of Property Act. That means Section 53 of Transfer of Property under that particular section, if you are doing any performance of a contract and the consideration for such property has been provided by a person whom possession of property has been allowed, that is Benamidar, or in the sense that is exempted, but then person who has granted possession thereof continues to hold ownership of the such property. In the sense, what we have seen earlier, the consideration paid by one person and it is held in the name of another person, the property is held in the name of another person, but that is allowed under this particular 53A because it is under that particular part performance of a contract. And there is another condition for this, that stamp duty on such transaction has been paid and contract has been registered. And this is in common parlance known as the GPA, General Power of Attorney. This part of, so I think this is not covered under the Beneficial Ownership Act. The beneficial, the owner, the prohibition of this thing, Transaction Act. Reason being, this particular the law itself is allowing such kind of transactions. So this will not fall under Benami transaction. One more thing, which is for the limited period, the exemption was given, or other there was this particular IDS scheme, Income Disclosure Scheme 2016, wherein the immunity was given for Benami transaction for a period of part period of 4 months. I think from June to September 2016, this scheme was in vogue, wherein the declaration could be given by the beneficial owner, and the beneficial owner was required to declare such property, and many people have taken advantage of it, and they were given exemption under this particular Benami Transaction Act. So if you want, I can just throw light on that particular scheme, which was there till 30th September 2017, which says that declaration should be made by the real or beneficial owner for availing the benefit, and that property should be retransferred to the beneficial owner before 30th September 17. It's like one is the declaration you have to give at fair market value, and that means you have to pay tax on it, on the fair market value of that property, but then it should have been transferred in the name of the beneficial owner. But if you see, like this was under this particular scheme, and then both the beneficial owner and the Benamida has to be a real person, has to be individual or falling under the person category. And it was basically for a limited period. So many people have taken advantage and they have fallen out of these particular Benami transactions. So that I think covers this particular.
राजेंद्र भाई,
yeah.
राजेंद्र भाई, खुशीराम बोल रहा हूँ. अभी आपने जो एक्सप्लेनेशन बोला ना 53A का, इसमें मेरा एक डिस्कशन का पॉइंट है जो हम लोग एज लॉयर 6-8 महीने से फेस कर रहे हैं कि 53A टॉक्स अबाउट द पार्टिंग ऑफ पोजीशन ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी टू सम पर्सन अंडर सम कॉन्ट्रैक्ट और अरेंजमेंट. ठीक है. एंड जितना लॉ क्लियर है उसमें ये कि 53A का पार्ट परफॉर्मेंस जो होता है, इट हैज टू बी डन थ्रू रजिस्टर्ड डॉक्यूमेंट. दैट पार्ट परफॉर्मेंस कैन नॉट बी डन थ्रू अनरजिस्टर्ड डॉक्यूमेंट. तो इसमें क्वेश्चन ये आ रहा है कि सपोज जो हम लोग MOU करते हैं, हमारे क्लाइंट या कोई अरेंजमेंट करते हैं, तो क्या इसमें ऐसा रेस्ट्रिक्शन आया है कि आई कांट पार्ट द पोजीशन ऑफ द प्रॉपर्टी अंडर नोटराइज्ड और अनरजिस्टर्ड MOU for the purpose of any contract? It is mandatory to get it registered to get out of this Benami Prohibition Act.
Yeah, sir. There's three conditions are there.
Yes.
One is stamp duty should have been paid on this arrangement. Okay, yes. On such transaction, and then second is it has to be registered. And then basically the first one is consideration for property is provided by one person, and then to whom the possession of the property has been allowed. In the sense you can say the person who has actually transferred the money, but the person who has granted possession under this particular power of attorney, he continues to hold the ownership.
Yes. So
ownership is there with the person who has actually taken the property, or rather the property is registered in his name. But then the person who has provided money is having the possession.
अच्छा, तो अभी जैसे हम लोग जो फेस कर रहे हैं, तो क्या वेदर वी विल ट्रीट दिस ट्रांजैक्शन एज इलीगल और बेनामी की, जहाँ पे जैसे बिल्डर होते हैं बहुत सारे, वो MOU के बेसिस पे अपने प्रॉपर्टी पे नाम करके रखते हैं कि भाई कल को मेरे से पूछे बगैर वो बेच नहीं सकता. तो कुछ MOU तो ऐसे होते थे जिसमें पोजीशन नहीं दिया जाता था, इसलिए उसमें ना ही 53A का रोल आता था, ना ही बेनामी का रोल आता था.
वो तो रजिस्टर्ड भी नहीं है ना, एंड देन मनी
रजिस्टर्ड भी नहीं है. तो उसमें लेकिन उसमें क्योंकि पार्ट परफॉर्मेंस नहीं था, पोजीशन नहीं दिया था, इसलिए उसको हम देखते थे कि नाइदर इट इज इलीगल और वो बेनामी में भी नहीं आता है. लेकिन कुछ ट्रांजेक्शन ऐसे भी होते हैं आज भी मार्केट में कि जिसमें लोग पोजीशन लेते हैं, सपोज लैंड ओनर के साथ डील हो रही है, तो अपने आप को सेव करने के लिए डॉक्यूमेंट में डालते हैं. तो क्या ये एक्ट आने की वजह से हमको क्लियर कट क्लाइंट को बोलना चाहिए कि भाई ये इट इज नाउ नॉट अलाउबल अंडर बेनामी प्रोहिबिशन है, कि भाई आप कोई भी पोजीशन प्रॉपर्टी का विदाउट कंप्लीटिंग रजिस्ट्रेशन आप नहीं ले सकते?
सर, इसमें अगर आप बेसिक लॉ में फिर से जाएंगे बेनामी ट्रांजैक्शन में, इट सेज if the property is owned by somebody and consideration is paid by some other person and beneficial own, इसमें तो आपके केस में आप जो एग्जांपल बोल रहे हैं जो बिल्डर के साथ में जो करते हैं, उसमें तो पर्सन हु द सेम इज द सेम पर्सन, ओनली वन पर्सन इज देयर, देयर आर नो टू पर्संस. आप भी खुद आप परचेस कर रहे हो.
राजेंद्र, प्रॉपर्टी विल बी स्टिल इन द नेम ऑफ द सेलर, buyer, but buyer has taken possession because he has paid some consideration.
No, but here the question so there is no benamidar here, no?
Why not?
benamidar कौन हुआ?
benamidar हो गया ना, because you are paying the consideration.
No, you are paying that particular amount for yourself only, na? Khushiram, am I right?
Right. But right, but they want to exclude such kind of a transaction if the property is.
Under exclusion under what? This particular definition.
Yeah, this particular clause. They want to exclude the buyer from this Benami because you have taken the possession of the property with a registered document, but you have still not paid the money.
No, money is paid. That's why the MOU, they have entered into MOU. ना? See, कोई भी builder आपको बिना पैसे दिए तो कोई property देने वाला नहीं है.
हाँ, तो reverse case हो जाएगा ना? That will be a reverse case where you have paid the money.
So what I mean to say, it will not fall under Benami transaction. It may fall under. So I'm according to me, in this particular transaction where you are saying, or Kushiramji was mentioning, that it is given for the given to the builder. And the actual registered document is not there, only MOU is there. But then the absence of Benamidar doesn't make it a Benami property.
Yes, sir. As per explanation 2 to subsection 9.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, then I think I have covered this particular transaction. Yeah.
I have a one point here in this grid by. The only thing it will, like Rajendra has said, it will not be a Benami because the consideration is paid by the supposedly buyer. The only thing is that both buyer and the seller cannot actually enforce that contract because it's not registered in court. Second thing, if they are liable to pay. For example, I know about the UP. You need to pay the 10 times the stamp duty for making it right. But since the buyer has paid the consideration, it will not fall into a Benami.
Correct.
Only thing that both the party cannot actually enforce that in the court of law.
So there is a defective title for them.
Yes. There is a defective title.
Yeah. So I think I'll just quickly go through the other things such as. Yeah.
I have a question here.
अभी अपन close करते हैं यार राजेंद्र.
I know. I just wanted to say, why do people enter into Benami transaction? Just it will take 2 minutes, and then Okay. We'll not get into case studies or other case laws or illustration, which I was supposed to take. But then
we'll take in the next session.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, this Benami exchanges means I think this can give throw some light on some of the queries also. The Benami exchanges are made so that there are various land laws, Land Ceiling Act. So basically, person cannot hold a property beyond a particular limit. That's why this type of transactions of Benami transaction are being considered. Then there are black money, as usually and then people have a habit of putting it into the real estate, and that is why this particular transaction was undertaken. There are some reasons where people cannot show the transaction in their own names because they want to hide the true ownership from the creditors, from the bank lenders, such as So they don't want to hide. They don't want to show it the property in their name. Then there are superstitious beliefs that the names of somebody else is lucky, so they don't take it in their name. Then the people want to commit fraud on creditors because once the creditors know that this particular person owns the property, then so that's why in order to defraud the creditors also to defraud tax also for concealment of this particular black money also, because once the particular asset is there and you are not paying the tax, then that can be taken over by the department. So then there are certain political and social risks also by showing the property in your name. So for a candidate in election, one has to declare the property then. So in order to hide that.
And then, money laundering also.
Money laundering, yeah, it is one kind of money laundering only. Then there is one more important thing in case of shares, insider trading, price sensitive information if somebody is having, mainly the directors of the company and the insider person. Then in that case also, in order to gain personally, he cannot do it on his own name because of the insider trading rules. So he invests through somebody else or gives loan to chain of several people, and then they invest in the company and trade in the shares on behalf of that person. And it is another form of Benami trading wherein legitimate corporates, they buy shares of a particular company to increase the price of shares and show high valuation, and for proposing it to investors, to buy at a higher price in IPO or something, or sometimes discourage also from applying for buyback scheme. So such type of transaction also such type of transaction also will fall under Benami transaction. But then if it is genuine, then property acquired out of the known source of income and direct benefit to the same person only, then it will not fall under this particular Benami transaction.
And as a matter of family tradition also, that will also...
Family tradition, I already mentioned, yeah, that is also there. This is a common practice. Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, I think I have covered more or less the definition part of it. There are various cases, even Supreme Court has given in case of mainly Thakur Bhim Singh versus Thakur Khan Singh, various parameters they have laid down, and then accordingly on the basis of the definition is also been changed. So I think I have covered more or less everything. So, Kirit bhai,
yeah,
over to you.
Yeah. So see, it's nowadays to keep ourselves glued to the screen for 90 minutes is a big thing. Okay. And all of you, those who are have glued to the screen, I can see that you all are really wanted to learn the subject. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been here, right? There are so many things to do in our life otherwise. But I really appreciate that, you all here. And that is the reason that, we are conducting this meeting, and committed people can learn and can understand the law. So I think today we have really learned actually property and the Benami transactions. I think I can say that workable knowledge we have got completely, we have understood. Okay. And so I would like to thank Amaya and Rajendra for taking on this as a opportunity and leading and enlightening all of us on the subject, and to Ananya also for contributing. And I invite who.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Just one point. Sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, I want to cover one more point.
Yeah.
That sir, in the Benami law, as you see in the Black Money Act, even the Fugitive Economic Offenders Act, Black Money Law, Benami Act, all these 3 to 4 legislations, the adjudicating authority or the regulator is Income Tax Department.
Mm-hmm.
So how much the tax department is being empowered, and how is the machinery going to function, that will play an important role for implementing this act.
Yeah.
All the 4 legislations I am saying, apart from the income tax law. So I don't know how much well equipped they are, because apart from the income tax administration, direct tax administration, they have to also have an overlook on these 4 legislations, sir.
Right.
So how much they are empowered and how the implementation is going to actually happen, that will be important factors for success of these 4 acts.
Right now, I've been told that in this investigation officer has got loads of information with them, because various people are coming forward and telling this person is having this property.
Yeah, because there are reward scheme also under this.
Yeah.
Sir, even AEOI also might be playing an important role, because automated exchange of information is happening now all over the world. So that will also be an important factor for getting information from other jurisdictions.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So thank you very much, all of you friends. We are closing this meeting today, and wonderful session. Thanks to all of you. Anybody want to say something? Any participant wants to say something can say.
Kirit bhai, thank you for giving opportunity.
Yeah,
thank you, sir.
Most welcome. Most welcome.
Very good session. Thoroughly enjoyed.
Yes. Thanks, Suhit, for participating. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent session.
Anybody wants to say anything? Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Enjoy your weekend.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, bye.